The left is completely ignorant about history, and they want you to be just as uninformed as them. I prefer to learn history. How about you? Let's get started. Like most people with a social media platform, I could make a living disproving the insanely ignorant statements made by the women on The View. Right after the Supreme Court sent abortion back to the states as the 10th Amendment directs, Whoopi Goldberg went on an unhinged rant. Now, I'm not going to force you to watch this hideous train wreck. You can find it if you want on YouTube. But I will address some points that were made. Let me start with her statement that her people will not part of the Constitution. The bogus, misleading, and distorting 1619 project being adopted by our schools is teaching our children that the Patriots fought the Revolutionary War to keep slavery. This is nothing short of an outright lie. And people like Whoopi Goldberg are buying it hook, line, and sinker. So let me give you a little bit of an education, Whoopi. When Thomas Jefferson composed the Declaration of Independence, he listed several usurpations or encroachments and infringements conducted by the king. All the items presented by Jefferson are 1 to 3 lines except for one, which is actually a half-page long. And it totally admonishes the king regarding slavery as well as decimating the 1619 Project lie. The paragraph as written in Jefferson's first draft goes as follows, and I'm going to use words that we're more familiar with to make it flow a little easier. He has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation thither. This piratical warfare, the infamy of infidel powers, is the warfare of the Christian King of Great Britain. Determined to keep open a market where men should be bought and sold, he has prostituted his negative for suppressing every legislative attempt to prohibit or to restrain this detestable commerce, and that this assemblage of horrors might want no fact of distinguished dye, he is now exciting those very people to rise in arms among us, and to purchase that liberty of which he has deprived them, by murdering the people upon whom he also forcefully thrust them, thus paying off former crimes committed against the liberties of one people with crimes which he urges them to commit against the lives of another. Jefferson is clearly talking about the slaves that the king brought to the Americas, and a good portion of the colonies were against it. In fact, several colonies tried to outlaw slavery many times, but the king always blocked their efforts, forcing slavery to remain in the New World. Jefferson addressed that. He also emphasized Christian. That was his emphasis. He was calling the king out for being a religious man and yet still enslaving these people, going and getting them from another country and then bringing them and forcing them on the people here who didn't want them. He also emphasized men. Jefferson realized these were human beings. They were men. They were not inferior beings. Unfortunately, the paragraph had to be removed because South Carolina and Georgia would not agree to it. The founders knew the Declaration had to be unanimous, or the king would use it to his advantage to tear the Patriots apart. We would have been defeated. So when Jefferson said, all men are created equal, he meant all men. Another point is if America fought to keep slavery, why did New England states start banning it the moment he declared independence? The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 banned slavery in that territory as they became states like Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, and a few others. They were never allowed to have slaves ever. The idea was initialized by Jefferson and occurred while we were still under the Articles of Confederation. They did this because they did not want slavery to spread, completely against the 1619 Project. The founders prayed that the states would see the error in their ways of slavery and start eliminating it themselves without the federal government intervening. And for this reason, the Constitution allowed the country to start banning the international slave trade in 1808 if they so desired. Jefferson, as president at the time, was so eager to move forward with this ban that he had legislation prepared in 1806 and was passed and signed in 1807 and went into effect in 1808 the moment that it could be done. That means the international slave trade was done. No more were allowed to be brought into the country. The left wants to destroy America, so they are desperately trying to demonize its founding. To do that, though, they must lie about everything. The way to beat it, though, is to get educated and to educate others. But that's just my 2 cents. What do you think? Leave your comments down below. You can learn more about American history and my liberating letters on thefactspaper.com, along with links to hundreds of articles fighting fake news and propaganda. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see more videos when they are uploaded. Until next time.